Hello, so this is my 1920s makeup look. I've added a few little twists of my own, nothing too dramatic. But as you can see, the lips are very defined. Eye makeup is very dark. The eyebrows are thinned out and they're brought down very far. The blush is just on the apples of the cheek and it's a very bright pink. So these are just some of the few traits that are indicative of 1920s makeup. I hope you enjoy the tutorial and learn lots. I think one of the most important steps to 1920s makeup is how the eyebrows were drawn in. I think if you're going to be doing 1920s makeup for Halloween or any party or whatever, I definitely think that this is a step that you should not skip. I was going to use a glue stick and completely conceal my eyebrows and redraw them in, but I can't find it, so I'm going to have to make do with what I've got. 1920s eyebrows were very thin, very arched, and they were kind of sloped downwards, almost in a sad looking way. So I'm going to take my chromographic pencil from MAC. This is the lightest one, NC15 NW20, and I'm not going to completely color it out, but I am going to make it thinner. So I'm kind of going for that amount of thinness, and then when I color it in, I'm actually going to draw it down a little bit further. I'm also going to take a light concealer. I'm using Studio Finish, and I'm just going to go underneath the brow with it. So I've got the concealer on my eyelids. I use this as a base, and I use a lighter color so that I kind of get like a natural looking highlight color, because for these looks there's really no frost or shimmer. So I'm actually just going to use the concealer as my highlight color and kind of blend into that. So before I start on my eye makeup, I'm going to do my eyebrows. I'm going to be using the color Brun from MAC, a very dark color. The eyebrows in the 20s were filled in very dark. So I've got my eyebrows drawn in. I'm going to start off with using Smolder Eye Kohl from MAC. I'm using this one because it's very smudgeable, and I'm going to start with doing the under eye area. And then I'll take a 239 brush from MAC and go ahead and smudge it. I'm going to focus on the outer corner here, make it a little bit thicker. And then I'm going to line the upper lid too. Instead of a black and gray, I'm going to be using kind of a deep plum. I'm going to go ahead and use Beauty Marked from MAC. I'm going to put that all over the lid. Now that I've got the Beauty Marked all over the lid where I want it, I'm going to go with my 226 brush, which is a new tapered brush from MAC, and I'm going to use Sketch in the crease. I really love this brush for applying and diffusing crease color. I wouldn't necessarily call it a blending brush. It does blend to an extent, but it's a little bit too dense to be a full-on blending brush. So because it's dense enough, it's got enough density to apply color, whereas if you were to use the 224, you wouldn't really get much color out of it. But because this brush is more dense, you can use it to apply the color, and it's also fluffy enough that it'll diffuse the color at the same time. And I'm going to go back through with my 224 brush. It's got nothing on it. I'm just going to further blend. And so far, this is what it looks like. And you can see there's just a little bit of sketch right there in the crease. And if you remember what I said before about the concealer being the highlight color. So instead of doing any kind of shadow, I'm just going to leave that concealer color there. Okay, I'm going to skip a few steps on the eyes and go right into the foundation. Okay, so I'm going to be using Studio Fix Fluid and in a shade that's a little bit too light for me. Pale and ivory skin was very popular back in the 20s, even to use a shade that's not really your color. So I'm going to be using probably an NC20, maybe mixed with a 25, because I'm normally an NC25, which is a small, dense powder brush, and I'm going to buff it on. Also, a very matted complexion was in style. I'm using Studio Fix. I normally don't suggest using a liquid foundation followed up with a powder foundation, which is what Studio Fix is, simply because it is really heavy, but I know that it's very matte, and I had it close by, so this is what I'm going to use. I'm using NC20, which is too light for me, but that's what I'm going for. Okay, moving on. A very light pink blush was applied to just the apples of the cheek. I'm going to use a 131 brush, and I'm going to use a color called Fashion Frenzy. And a lot of blush too. Okay, it's a lot of blush in person. I don't know how that's translating on camera. Hopefully once I put it on the computer it'll show up a little bit better. But it is a lot of blush. Okay, next I'm going to be using a lip erase from MAC. This color is called Dim. You can find this at any pro store. I'm just going to be using my finger, and I'm not going to go over the whole lip, just kind of the outsides of the lip. It's a little bit nicer to use than concealer because it's a little moisturizing, so it's not dry like a concealer would be on your lips. So one thing to point out about this decade's makeup is that another thing that was really huge was these really defined lips that were accentuated on the top and bottom and less accentuated on the outsides of the lips. So we're going to fill them in. I'm going to use Current lip pencil from MAC. I'm just going to sharpen that real quick. I want a very precise line. And I'm going to, like I said, over accentuate the bow of my lip and also bring it down a little bit lower than my actual lip. So something like this. It looks so silly. I'm going to be using a lipstick from MAC. This is from the Stylistics collection a few years ago. It's called The Scene. Okay, I'm going to go back to the eyes. I'm going to do top lashes and bottom lashes. I would say the bottom lashes are not necessary, but I'm doing them because it's going to add a fun effect. In all the pictures that I looked at, it seemed like lashes were very big and emphasized in 1920s makeup. So I'm going to start off by just curling my lashes and putting some mascara on. So I'm just going to use for the bottom lashes, these are just some cheapies. I don't even know what the brand is. But it's important to bend the lash, especially for the bottom lashes. You have to bend it the opposite way. I don't know if you can see that. You bend it the opposite way of what it came with in the package. That way it can shape to your bottom lid. So I usually just hold it around like this. So I've got my bottom lashes on. The one over here is still drying, so it looks kind of funny, but I'm going to go ahead with my top lashes. I've got some crazy ones. They're no name brand. They're like this. They're humongous. They're very stiff and very hard to work with, so I'm hoping that this goes okay. So this is pretty much the final look. I've decided that I want to add one more touch. This would be really fun for a party. So I'm going to be using, this is Reflects Blackened Red. This is like a really fine glitter from MAC. And I'm just going to put that right on the center of my lids. Not too much, just to give it a little shine. So that's the final look. I'm really happy I did this look. It's so much fun. I wasn't even really sure how it was going to turn out, but it was definitely fun, and I'm really glad that I did it. If there's ever a look that you want to see or request, please don't hesitate to send me a little message, and I will do my best to do it for you. So thank you for watching, and come back for more.